Hey guys, I've been playing Rise of the Ronin on the PlayStation 5. This is a PS5 exclusive, so if you want to play this game, you have to have this console. It's made by Team Ninja, who is one of my favorite action developers out there. I go way back with these guys. I love Ninja Gaiden and that whole series. I am a fan of what they've done with things like Neo. This is different though. This is an open world action-adventure role-playing experience that borrows elements from everything that they've done before and certainly looks at the landscape of other open world action games, and it's impossible not to directly compare this with Ghost of Tsushima, although the time period and the technologies and the storytelling is quite a bit different with this game. And it feels a little bit different than this game. It's also impossible not to compare this directly with what Ubisoft has been doing with Assassin's Creed, and now we've got other exceptional open world experiences like what Nintendo's been doing with Zelda and what From has been doing with Elden Ring, all to compare and contrast with this title. What's interesting though is that it borrows heavily from the Souls-like atmosphere and the Souls-like darkness and difficulty that you would experience in lots of titles. Elden Ring is a prime example out there. But Team Ninja does deliver a bunch of different difficulty levels for playing this game. So this is the first time where I've played an action title like this, an action RPG like this, where it's all about timing and blocking and parrying and, doing a lot with your combat, which isn't just hacking and slashing. There's a lot of hacking and slashing in this game, but there is also a lot of strategic play, just like you would find in Neo or any of the Souls-like experiences out there. But you can notch down the difficulty, and that's something that I've been curious to experience in lots of titles out there, because I historically don't have a lot of time and patience for the Souls-like difficulty. It starts to get on my nerves when I'm trying to beat a boss for the 50th time, because I always have a mountain of other games that I have to get to come back and review and talk about with you guys. So I always feel that pressure. So I was actually quite happy that I could put the difficulty down to an easier mode in this title. I started in medium, I got pretty far with the game, but I said, okay, listen, I want to see more of the story, I want to see more of the intrigue in this game and start to meet some of the other characters, so I notched it down, and then it was a little too easy. And then I started to realize that, yeah, you know what, this is why these exquisite games and these really smart game designers kind of say, no, you have to meet the game at this level to appreciate the art that we're crafting here. I kind of knew that instinctually, but this game also really sold that to me. The Souls-like games out there are meant to be played at the challenge level that they deliver, and I question all the time, why don't they just open it up and let more people in to play that stuff? But that's part of the art. That's part of the artistry. And truthfully, the combat takes a hit in this game when you knock down the difficulty, but that's okay because you can experience the story and there's a lot of stuff to see. You can jump on horseback, you can get a glider and glide around, and you've got this awesome grappling hook, and the mobility in the experience is actually really fun. But I think the standout feature here is that Team Ninja really put a lot of effort into identifying the era, which was kind of a darker period in Japan's history. It was when Japan started to open back up after closing down its borders to foreign connection and foreign shipments and things like that. Now we've got the Western focus starting to come into play across Japan, and you go into some pretty cool cities. Yokohama and Kyoto's a part of this as well, and you traverse the countryside and you free towns from all kinds of outlaws that have taken over them, and you start to bring peace to the land, a lot like what you do in Ghost of Tsushima, where you're riding on horseback and you're traveling everywhere and you're doing good deeds and you're aligning yourself with different characters that you meet along the way and interweaving into the story. Now, I didn't find that the non-player characters in this game, apart from the key ones that you interact with, were all that interesting. I would travel into villages and I'd see a lot of townspeople just kind of sitting around and just sort of waiting for you. It didn't really feel like things were alive. And the same with the enemy types. They'd just be sort of stuck in their kind of stunted AI routine, maybe doing a little circle or something like that, or you might see an animal eating something, and you can sneak right up to them. Stealth is a big part of this experience, so you're going to reflect back on Tenchu a little bit in some of the moments when you're inside of these battles and things. Also a big thumbs up for that idea. But I didn't find the enemies all that intelligent, and of course they scale up in size and in difficulty and in weaponry, and it still is fun to engage everybody. And I did find those second-to-second combat to be very cool, and you have a whole suite of different weapons weapons that you can collect along the way. It's almost Diablo-esque how many different types of weapons you can pick up. And each of them has their own sort of combat tree, and you can accentuate them and buff them up, and you learn different combat styles for these different weapons. And because we're in the 19th century in this game, firearms become a part of the experience as well. You can have handguns, you can have rifles. There are, they call it a flame pipe, but essentially it's a flamethrower that you can have to burn everybody with. And so there's some nice diversity in the types of ways you can deal out death in this game. And it's incredibly violent as well. It's basically heads a-popping. You can shoot heads off, you can slice heads off, you can, do some super crazy end of combat attacks where arms and legs and everything is just going all over the place. And it's satisfying. The combat is satisfying, but I didn't find the enemy types to be all that intelligent. It's not like in Ghost of Tsushima, where if you do the wrong thing and you're in a town, you'll have the whole village of bad guys chasing you for laps around the village trying to get to you, and they're very smart and they're very crafty and they can sense you, and you've got to be a lot more cagey with the way that you get into combat in Ghost of Tsushima. And although I found that there was a repetition in the types of combat that you did in Ghost of Tsushima, I felt much more connected to my character and his growth and his sort of connection to the world than I do with my character in Rise of the Ronin. Now, I do like the fact that you can gain allies along the way, and you encounter different Ronin and different samurai that are in need of services or some kind of friendship in a moment, and then they become a friend that you can count on again and again. I thought that was pretty cool. I like this idea of going into battle and you can switch between different characters. There's also a cooperative mode in this game, which I didn't play. I just played the game in single player, but I did like jumping back and forth between characters, and I did like taking out bad guys using, 2 sword strikes at a time. I thought that was pretty exciting as well. And visually, I think the game looks pretty good, but the challenge is we've had so many excellent looking open world experiences out here. I kept thinking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I kept thinking about Red Dead Redemption 2 and the amount of details in the environment and in all the character types that you would get in there. There are just a lot of open world games that you can point at that have done this better. I do think that the topography is beautiful and there's different weather effects and environmental effects. And I found some of the city structures and town structures to be a little devoid of texture and color and detail, but there are flourishes in here. And I did like the animations of being able to glide and then jump attack onto bad guys and stuff like that. I thought that was really fun. It's also fun outfitting your character in all kinds of different outfits and armor types and masks that you can put on. I mean, there's a lot of content to sink into with this game, and we're living in this golden age of really cool samurai entertainment. I'm addicted to Shogun right now. Blue Eye Samurai is amazing. If you've never played Ghost of Tsushima and you own a PlayStation, I don't know what you're doing with your life, because that game is a masterpiece, and it's just about to launch on PC, and I'm sure it's going to be incredible on the PC as well. I can't wait to re-review that. And so this is part of that kind of world of really cool samurai stories and really cool samurai entertainment to get lost in, but I don't think it's at the top of the pile. I think it's a decent game. I don't think it's Team Ninja's best game, but I applaud that they've had the ambition to take this step and kind of enter the open world game arena, which is crowded and very competitive. And I think this is good. I think this is solid. I'm going to give Rise of the Ronin for the PlayStation 5 an 8 out of 10.